Hello and welcome, my friends, to another exciting and very practical episode of our English learning journey. I'm James, and today we're going to focus on one of the most essential communication skills you will ever need in English: introducing yourself. This is often the very first thing you do when meeting someone new, and it's also the moment that can set the tone for the entire conversation. Think about it. Whether you are in a job interview, starting a new class, attending a social event, joining a club, or even meeting someone online, the way you introduce yourself can make people feel interested in you, comfortable with you, and willing to talk more. In this lesson, I'm not only going to give you the words to say, but I will also explain the tone, the body language, and the little tricks that make your introduction sound confident and natural. We will explore formal introductions, casual introductions, and even friendly self-introductions for social situations. By the end of this episode, you will feel ready to confidently start a conversation in English anytime, anywhere. So get comfortable, maybe grab your notebook or your favorite drink, and let's dive into the art of introducing yourself in English.
Before we jump into actual examples and practice, let's first understand why introducing yourself is so important and what the basic elements are. When you introduce yourself in English, you're not just telling someone your name, you're giving them the very first impression of who you are. People will notice the way you speak, the tone of your voice, your facial expressions, and even your body language. This first impression can make someone feel excited to continue talking to you, or sadly, not very interested. So getting it right is key. Now, in English, self-introductions usually follow a simple structure. You start with a greeting, then you say your name, and sometimes you add extra information, like where you are from, what you do, or what you enjoy. For example, you might say, "Hi, my name is James. I'm from London and I work as an English teacher." That's short and clear, and it gives the other person something to respond to. But here's the important part. Your introduction should match the situation. If you're in a formal setting, like a job interview, a business meeting, or a conference, you need to be more polite and professional. You might say, "Good morning. My name is James Anderson. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm an English language instructor with over 10 years of experience." Notice how the language here is a little more serious and respectful. On the other hand, if you are in a casual setting, maybe you are meeting new friends at a party or joining a hobby group, you can sound more relaxed and firmly. You could say something like, "Hey, I'm James. I'm from London and I love playing guitar and traveling." This makes you sound approachable and open for conversation. Another key tip is to use a warm tone and maintain eye contact if it's culturally appropriate. In English-speaking cultures, looking at someone when you introduce yourself shows confidence and sincerity. You don't have to stare, just make natural eye contact for a few seconds while smiling. Also, think about your body language. Standing straight, keeping your shoulders relaxed, and having an open posture can make you seem more welcoming. Even your handshake, if you're in a culture that uses handshakes, can send a message. A firm but friendly handshake often shows confidence. But remember, in many situations today, a simple smile and a nod can work just as well. So in summary, The basics of introducing yourself in English include a friendly greeting, stating your name clearly, adding one or two interesting facts about yourself, and delivering it all with good tone, eye contact, and body language. These simple steps can make a big difference in how people see you from the very first moment.
All right. Now that we've covered the basics of introducing yourself in English, let's talk about how you can make your introduction more interesting, more memorable, and more engaging without making it too long or complicated. When you meet someone, giving your name and greeting is a good start. But if you want the conversation to continue, you need to give the other person more information they can respond to. Think of your self-introduction like opening a door. You're giving people a reason to walk through and talk to you. One way to expand your introduction is by mentioning your background. This could be where you grew up, where you live now, or a short fact about your family. For example, you could say, "Hi, I'm James. I'm originally from London, but I've been living in Toronto for the past 5 years." This instantly gives the listener a chance to say, "Oh, I've been to Toronto," or "What brought you to Canada?" And now you have a conversation. Another way to add detail is to include what you do, your job, studies, or main role in life. If you're working, you can simply say your job title, or you can describe it in a way that's easy to understand. For example, I work as an English language coach. I help students improve their speaking and listening skills. By explaining it in simple terms, you make it clear and accessible for people who might not know your profession well. You can also include something about your hobbies or interests. This makes you more relatable and human. For example, in my free time, I really enjoy hiking and photography. Now, if the other person likes hiking, they'll probably ask, "Where do you usually go hiking?" And the conversation will naturally grow. For learners of English, it's also a good idea to prepare a few sentences about why you are learning the language or how long you've been learning. For instance, "I've been learning English for 3 years because I want to travel more and meet new people." This is especially useful if you're introducing yourself in an English learning community or class. Another important thing is adjusting the speed and clarity of your speech. If you speak too fast, especially to people who don't know you yet, they might miss your name or details. If you speak too slowly, it might feel unnatural. Aim for a clear, steady pace. For example, when I say my name, I make sure to pause slightly before and after. "Hi, my name is James. I'm from London, and I've been teaching English for more than 10 years. Lastly, you can end your introduction with a simple invitation to continue the conversation. For example, "So, how about you? Where are you from?" Or, "It's nice to meet you. Tell me a little about yourself." This keeps the exchange balanced and shows you are interested in the other person as well. So, in this second part, remember, give more details about your background, work or studies, interests, and your reason for learning English if relevant. Speak clearly, smile, and always leave space for the other person to respond. A good introduction is not just about telling your story, it's about starting a friendly exchange.
Now that we've talked about the structure and details you can add to your self-introduction, let's move on to the most important part, practice and adaptation. You see, it's one thing to write down your introduction on paper or repeat it in your head, but it's another thing to use it naturally in real-life conversations. Many English learners prepare an introduction, but when the moment comes to speak, they either forget it or feel nervous. That's why practicing is so important. The first step is to memorize the key points of your introduction, not every single word, but the main ideas. For example, your name, where you're from, what you do, one interesting fact, and an invitation for the other person to speak. By remembering just these 5 points, you can create many versions of your introduction without sounding like a robot. Let's imagine you are at an English class. You could say, "Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Brazil, but I've been living in Madrid for 2 years. I work as a graphic designer, and in my free time, I love cooking and watching travel documentaries. How about you?" That's friendly, clear, and personal. But if you're at a business meeting, you might want to make it shorter and more formal. "Good morning. My name is Anna Silva. I'm a graphic designer specializing in branding and digital marketing. It's a pleasure to meet you." Notice how the tone changes to match the situation. That's the second key skill, adaptation. You should adjust your introduction depending on the context, formal or informal, quick or more detailed, face-to-face or online. If you're meeting a group of friends, your introduction can be relaxed and even funny. If you're at a job interview, it needs to be professional and focused on your skills. Another tip for practicing is shadowing. That means listening to native speakers introduce themselves and then repeating what they say, matching their pronunciation, rhythm, and tone. You can find examples in interviews, podcasts, or TV shows. This will help you sound more natural. Also, don't just practice alone. Use real situations. Introduce yourself to classmates, colleagues, or people you meet in community events. Even online language exchange platforms are great for this. The more you use your introduction in different situations, the more confident you will become. Here's something else I recommend. Record yourself. Many learners don't realize how they sound until they hear a recording. By listening back, you can check your pronunciation, speed, and clarity. You can also notice if you sound friendly and confident, or if you need to add more energy to your voice. Finally, remember that your introduction is not fixed forever. As your life changes, new job, new hobby, new place, you can update it. Think of it as your personal business card in words. The better it represents you, the stronger your first impression will be. So, in this part, we've learned that introducing yourself well is not just about learning the words. It's about practicing them until they feel natural, adapting them to each situation, and updating them as your life changes. This way, you'll always be ready to introduce yourself confidently, anywhere, anytime.